students access to it. So just so you guys know, that is this is being recorded. Okay, so thank you all for joining, and we're going to jump into it. So we're going to go over an introduction of what SNAP is and eligibility criteria, how to apply for SNAP, how to use the benefits once you get them, if you end up getting them, how to maximize them, and any questions that you guys have. So as an introduction, SNAP is a program that assists with low-income households with monthly benefits to use towards groceries. The card there's a little picture right here that says Louisiana Purchase. That is a card that would work as kind of like a debit card. That would be what you would receive in the mail to use towards your food purchases. So this would be used in grocery stores, any SNAP eligible store that participates, you can use this at. The requirements, so for students, you have to meet both the general SNAP requirements, which I'm going to go over in a minute, but you also have to kind of fall in an exemption. So there's a list of exemptions that we're going to go over, that you would have to qualify for one of those to be able to be eligible for SNAP. So the general eligibility requirements that anybody is required to have is that you must have proof of your identity. So you could have this in the form of like a driver's license, your birth certificate. You just have to have some sort of ID. You must be a Louisiana resident, and you must be a U.S. citizen and or have verifiable documentation stating otherwise. And then you must also have or be applying for a Social Security number. In terms of out-of-state students, if you are out of state, you need to have a Louisiana mailing address. So be sure when you're filling out an application that you have a Louisiana address down, or else it's not gonna go through in the system, because you would have to apply in whatever state. So if you're using, like when I was in college, your parents' address for everything, say you came from out of state, I'm from Michigan, I would not be able to use my quote unquote permanent address, which I was using as my parents' house on that application. You need to have a Louisiana resident mailing address. So if that's your school, dorm, if it's apartment, you need to have that down. In terms of the income requirements, you guys don't really have to look at these. They're just a little bit helpful if you kind of want to like really break down if you may be eligible or not. So if you are a household of just yourself, you're going to be looking at this number 1 for household size. And this table just shows your maximum income that you can have per month to be eligible for SNAP. So in a 1-person household, you want to be looking at this row over here where it says max gross eligibility here. Well, actually, sorry, you want to be looking at this one right here with the 200%, I believe. And so your gross income, which is in this first and second column here, is your income before your household has deductions. So a deduction is something like a shelter cost. You guys wouldn't have any, you probably wouldn't have very many medical deductions or anything, but it's also a factor. There's a bunch of them listed on the SNAP website, which I'm going to link for you. But there's a lot of standard deductions that you don't have to do the math on. It's done for you. A standard deduction means that it's a specified amount already that is going to be deducted. So that's where this gets a little tricky, and I wouldn't look too much into this or be too concerned with this. As long as your income, like if you're looking at your monthly income, and you're making way over this amount, then you would probably not be eligible. But otherwise, I would not focus too much on this number. So we're going to go over the requirements for exemption. So those were general SNAP eligibility requirements, but this is right here is the student eligibility requirements. So I'm going to read them all off to you just because there's a lot. But if you're under the age of 18 or older than 50, or if you have a physical or mental disability, if you work at least 20 hours a week in paid employment, you would also could potentially qualify for SNAP. So the thing with students and qualifying for SNAP is that if you are a full-time student, unless you meet one of these exemptions, you're more than likely not going to be eligible for SNAP. But if you are a at least half-time student and say you work 20 hours a week and you're getting paid for that, you may qualify for SNAP. Or if you are a more than half-time student and you have a physical or mental disability, you could qualify for SNAP if you also then meet the previous exemptions that I just talked about back in this slide here, and just general requirements with income requirements as well. So again, I'm going to go through this list more. If you participate in a state or federally funded finance work study program, you could potentially qualify. And I'm going to go over, there's some new changes based on COVID. That'll be in the next slide regarding work study. But in general, if you participate in a federal work study program, you may be eligible. If you participate in on-the-job training program, if you care for children under the age of 6 or children aged 6 to 11 and lack the necessary childcare enabling you to attend school and work the 20 hours a week, you may be exempt and may qualify. If you're a single parent enrolled full-time in college and taking care of a child under 12, if you receive temporary assistance for needy families, if you're enrolled in TANF job opportunities and basic skills program, are assigned to, placed in, or self-placed in a college or other institution of higher education through a SNAP employment training program or certain other programs, you may be eligible. And then if you're in any of these programs listed here as well. So on the bottom here, it says that if you meet one of the new temporary exemptions, you will also potentially be eligible. That's where things get a little bit tricky with the work study. So I want to make it clear that these temporary exemptions will be ending soon. So these, I'm going to go through when you need to apply to be able to qualify for a temporary exemption, but these are not the normal circumstances of applying for SNAP. So this is immediately right now, this could apply for you. And this is important because if this would make you eligible for SNAP, then you want to apply as soon as possible. So if you, under the COVID-19 pandemic, it temporarily expanded eligibility to those who are eligible to participate in state or federally funded work study programs during the school year. So if you are eligible to do work study but aren't currently doing work study, you may still qualify for SNAP. So that is, I bolded this word here, eligible. Does not mean you are currently or have to be participating in it. Under the temporary exemption, it's as long as you're eligible. So that brings a lot more people in who would not normally be eligible could now potentially be eligible. When I was a student, I was not in work study, but I was eligible to be, and that would have allowed me to be on SNAP potentially. So just reiterating the importance of this. And also, if you have an expected family contribution of 0 in the current academic year, which I also had, which means, you don't have family helping pay for school. You would know this, but after you receive and fill out your financial aid application, you would have proof of this. So on the bottom here, you need to verify that you're eligible to participate in work study and or that you have an EFC of 0. So you can find this in your financial aid award letter, or your EFC can also be found in your student aid report. If you don't have this information, your financial aid department should be able to look this up for you in your documents. So you need to speak with them. But you should be able to find it if you guys have your portals. I know I used to log into my government portal that did tell me, had my financial statements on there. That's another place you can find it. So just be sure that you verify that, but this opens up eligibility for a lot of people. So if this is applying to you and you're thinking, hey, I may actually be eligible for SNAP right now, you need to apply as soon as possible, because by June 9th is when we're going to cut off. So if you apply before June 9th, you can be eligible with the new exemptions. So if you're approved, this would follow through the following year. You would effectively have a year with that rule in place where you could receive SNAP benefits under the temporary exemptions.
Haley, can we have Caitlin jump in about the federal
yeah, absolutely.
So Caitlin, can you speak on that for a second about the EFC, where they can find that information?
Hey guys, I am the financial aid counselor. I'm in the office, so I can give you exact information that Haley was saying. And so the information that you're going to want to use for Loyola's financial aid packages, you can essentially use that only if you've been awarded work study, because Loyola does not print your EFC on the award package. You can give them the information from the FAFSA, like what Haley was saying about that student aid report. You actually can log into the FAFSA website that gives that expected family contribution. However, the most common way that we have been verifying this information is, I'm going to share my screen really quickly. Oh, screen sharing has been disabled. If you can turn that on. Okay, let's see. So I can just show you what the form, because most students who apply are actually given from whatever counselor you're working with a verification form. So I just want to show you what that looks like. And that, again, is more common, I think, than students providing their award package or going into their FAFSA to get that student aid report. So this is what it looks like. So this is just an example of, if you're provided this from the SNAP office, this is exactly what you're going to bring in to us. And so you can either send us a scanned copy or walk it in. It's really easy to complete. These areas that are blacked out, that is what your staff counselor would fill in for you. So this isn't a form you're printing off from their website. It is something that you would be presented from whoever you're working with, the SNAP office. But so this is where we can indicate those eligibility requirements. The work study, also that your award package might not have work study on it. Your eligibility is even more so than if you were offered. So that is something for most students. If you don't have a 0 EFC, we can still check and see if you would have been eligible for us to award you work study. So mostly you're going to come to the Office of Financial Aid for us to fill that out for you. But you can contact our main office if you have any questions. So that was just what I wanted to show y'all really quick. You can let me know if you have any questions. I'll be here till the end of the presentation.
Thank you, Caitlin.
Thank you so much for clarifying that. That is fantastic information for you guys to have. Can you see my screen again? Am I on the correct screen?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. I always tell people, when in doubt, just apply. You never know, or if you're questioning it, that you may be eligible or may not, there's no harm in applying and see what happens. The worst case scenario is they just are going to tell you that you're not eligible. But I advise most people, if you're like, I might fall under this, just apply. It's not too hard to apply. I'm going to go through how to apply with you guys next. But I would say just go for it. You never know. I have friends who have done it and have been surprised that they've been awarded SNAP, and it's been extremely helpful. How to apply. So the best way to apply is through the online LA Cafe portal. Here you can create an account and it saves all your information in one place. You can go on and do any follow-up paperwork that needs to be done every year on here. It's really the fastest way to get the information to Department of Children and Family Services. So, and most of you are tech savvy. If for some reason you are struggling to fill out an application online, we do have paper applications that we can get to you. And there's also ability to go into offices and apply there as well. There's also a phone option to apply over the phone that is fairly new. And I know that there's a lot of wait times on the phone, but if you're not paying by the minute for your phone and you have enough time to wait, that's an option as well. You can call the number and apply over the phone. But overall, overwhelmingly, I've been told that applying online is the fastest way to receive information on their end. If you make an account, this is what your homepage will look like over here. So you're going to click my applications, which is right here. And sorry, did someone want to jump in or no? Okay. You're going to click on my applications right here or right here. And this is where you will then click next, and you will click right here to submit an application. Once you click this, you will be brought to this page with apply now. You'll click on that. And then you can also view any incomplete applications. Say you started an application and you didn't have time to finish it. It'll pop up right here. This is where mine is, and you can click continue. And then it'll come back up where you were at before. And then will also show you any submitted applications you had and the date that you submitted them. So it's really helpful to make sure that you can kind of see where you're at with your application status. You will want to click this box right here, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. That's the one that you will be applying for. If you think you might qualify for any of these other programs, you are welcome to apply for them, but these all would be related to if you had children in your household. It is important to note when you are in the portal, there's the previous button here and the next button here and the save and exit. You have to use these rather than using like the forward and back button on your computer, because if you don't, it has an issue where it'll like log you out and you can get locked out for a little bit. I ran into this problem a few times by myself doing it accidentally, as well as if you are in the portal and you need to log out for any reason, don't just click X on your page. You need to click log out. Otherwise, it takes like, I can't remember if it's up to just a few hours. It's sometimes like up to a day where I got like blocked out of my account and it had to like wait until you could get back on. So just make sure if you can remember to use the buttons that are within the application, you shouldn't run into those issues then. So then you're going to click next after you click on the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. There will be a page with a lot of information that you need to read through. It's just basically stating that you're okay to fill it out and just giving you more information about the program. So if you read through that and you're okay with everything, you're going to click the little checkbox at the bottom and then click next. This is the page that will pop up. And this is what your application will look like for the remainder of all of the application. So you're going to start here at start and you're going to answer all of these questions. Most of you will probably be applying for yourself. So you're just going to click this first one. But if you're not, you can click whoever you're applying for. Most of you do not need an authorized representative. If you would like an authorized representative, or if you're applying on someone's behalf, you can click yes and list an authorized representative on there, which is just someone who would be helping you fill out the application. But most of you will not need that. So if you click on next after this page, you're going to go through and it will bring you to each of these. So if you click next, it brings you to people and it's going to ask you questions about the people in your household, which might just be you. You might have more than just yourself. And then you'll go through all of these and answer all of those questions. So from here on out, you need to fill out all of that to the best of your knowledge. It's okay if you don't know exact answers to every question. If you don't know exact answers to how much you have in your savings, if that's one of the questions is based on income. If you don't know exact numbers, that's okay. You can guesstimate and to the best of your knowledge and fill out as much of the application as you can, and just make sure that you're filling it out truthfully and just so with honesty and your best judgment. It's okay if you don't have everything perfect though. It's also crucial though, like I said in the beginning, that you provide a Louisiana mailing address for the application. If you do not, it causes chaos. You're not going to be approved in Louisiana. It'll be just a mismatch of information. So make sure that you have a Louisiana mailing address. Typically it takes about 30 days to be notified if you're approved or not after you turn in your application. So if you don't hear back for 2 weeks, that's normal. That's okay. If it's longer than a month and you haven't heard back yet, I would give them a call at DCFS, which I have the phone number at the end of this presentation, and check in on your case. This is another example where it's really good to apply online because you can also double check and make sure that under that submitted that I showed you earlier, it says that your form was submitted and that you didn't accidentally have a computer lag or something where it didn't go through. So just be sure, kind of keep in the back of your head, hey, I should find out in about 30 working business days. If I didn't find out in 30 days, like you will want to follow up on that and we can see what may have gone wrong, or if maybe, a computer glitched or something. Every 6 months, you'll be asked to fill out a simplified report, which is just a quick one-page information on if your income has changed in your household or not. And then every year you will be filling out like a redetermination. Both of these aren't as long as the original application. But both can also be done in the portal. And I can, in the beginning, on the very first slide where I showed you where it says my applications, that if you looked down on some of the other blocks, it said redetermination on there. And so you would just go to your homepage and find where it said that, and you could fill that out. You will receive a letter in the mail ahead of time for whatever mailing address you listed in for your account. That will be like, hey, your redetermination is coming up, or hey, your simplified report is coming up. So you will be notified ahead of time. But just so you know, every 6 months a simplified report, and every year a redetermination to see if your income has changed and to make sure you're still eligible. Okay, how to use the benefits. If you are approved for SNAP, you'll receive that card that I showed in the very beginning in the mail. The card may be used to purchase groceries at the stores that accept SNAP, and most major grocers do accept SNAP. So what you're going to do when you get your card is you're going to activate it. So there's a number on the back that you can call, and you're going to set up a PIN to do this. It's like a 4-digit PIN, just like any other debit card you would use. And then you're going to just go shop for food at a retailer that accepts SNAP. So you're just going to use it like you would a debit card. You will pick your groceries. I'll go over some of the, there's a few ineligible items that you can't use, which is like hot prepared foods, use your SNAP towards, but for the most part, any groceries are going to qualify, and you will grocery shop, bring your groceries up, pay for or put your groceries on the line as normal, and then swipe your card at the end and type your PIN in, just like any other debit card would work. And that's how you use your benefits. So what you can use EBT on would be fruits and vegetables, meat, poultry, fish, seafood, dairy products, any dried goods such as pasta, snacks, cereal, non-alcoholic beverages such as juice, seeds and food-bearing plants. So you can also get like basil, or, you know, if you really wanted one, like a lemon tree, whatever food-bearing plant you think of. Foods can be fresh, frozen, canned, any type of food is okay to buy. The things you can't buy is any non-food items such as clothes and hygiene products, hot prepared foods. You can buy cold ones. That's a little tricky. So like if there was a rotisserie chicken, you couldn't buy that, but there's certain like cold sandwich items that you can buy. You cannot use the EBT for alcohol, vitamins, supplements, or medicines, live animals, or pet food. So those are the can buys and can't buys, but for the most part, a lot of items are eligible, and it's really beneficial. Most major retailers accept SNAP. Some examples of where it can be used are Walmart, Winn-Dixie, Rouse's, Whole Foods, or Amazon, Aldi's, Trader Joe's, Costco, and Sam's Club. There's also local places that I listed on here, which would be Top Box Foods, Crescent City Farmers Market, New Orleans Food Cooperative, Grodat Youth Farms, and River Queen Greens. The USDA has another tool you can use to see where your benefits could be used based on where you're living. It's a great little map I've used before. I also want to let you guys know that I just was notified like today that there is a pilot program in Louisiana where your card can now be used in terms of mobile payment. So how if you have like the tap to pay on your phone already, or if you have like if you've seen that done before at stores where you can like do contactless payment, that's being piloted right now. So that's going to be starting in Louisiana. Like I said, this just got like we just got notified of this like yesterday and today. So it's a new pilot program, but we're hoping that it benefits a lot of people being able to, you know, have their card on their phone and maybe not have to wait for the card to get in the mail if you are approved. And then any store that has the ability to do contactless payment and implements it through SNAP, which I'm assuming Walmart probably will, and Rouse's, those kind of stores, you can then also do contactless payment now. So just so you know your options, there are quite a lot of them. And let me see here. I'm going to go over some of the local ones in a little bit. So how to use your card and check your benefits on your card. It's pretty easy. You can call the customer service number and follow the prompts to check your balance, but that'll probably take a lot longer than just downloading the Life and Check app, which right here is the little logo for that. If you go in your app store and you pick the Life and Check app, that's what it'll look like. It's great because you can check your balance, but you can also check to see your next benefit date. So whenever you're going to be getting the next funds into your account, you can change your PIN if you need to. You can report a lost or stolen card. You can request a replacement card if you need to, and you can see your transaction history. So all of that can be done in the Life and Check app. It's a great app. I've used it. I really like it. So I highly recommend that app, but you can also always call that number to check your balance. To maximize your benefits, there's a few ways in our city right now that are, there's a few places doing some great things. So one of them is the Crescent City Farmers Market, and they do a dollar for dollar match on so that you can use it on produce. So say you bought $15 worth of any SNAP eligible items in the market, which could be meat, fruits and vegetables, bread, food bearing plants. They usually have a lot of those at the market. Any items that are food items that are eligible for SNAP on any given day, you would then get $15 in return, like in addition to the 15 that you spent to spend on fruits and vegetables. So say I went in and I was like, I want to spend $15 on fish at the market, and they would be like, okay, here's your, here's your 15, or you would be paying your $15 with your SNAP money. And then they would say, okay, here's $15 to spend on fruits and vegetables. So they give you like these tokens, and you know the difference because your regular tokens will be a different color than your fruits and vegetable ones, or they have like a little tomato on the fruits and vegetable ones, so you know how many or how much money you have to spend in your fruits and vegetable one. So they match whatever amount that you spend. So if you spend $100 at the market, you will receive $100 in return to spend on fruits and vegetables. So it's really beneficial if you have different kinds of foods you want to buy. If you are someone who really enjoys fresh local fish or whatever seafood that is at the market and you want to spend your money there, you would receive that in addition. Then you don't have to worry about spending money on fruits and vegetables because it will be matched, and you can use the money that they give you on fruits and vegetables. So that can be a really beneficial program, depending on if that's something you enjoy doing or not, and going to the farmers market. This market is 3 times a week. It's Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays in different locations. You can go on the website, which I have listed here, to find out more about that. But it's a great way to potentially use more of your benefits and get more out of your benefits rather than spending, $15 at the grocery store on other items. You would at least be at the market, spend $15, and then it would turn into basically $30. And so it's pretty great. Another place that does this is Top Box Foods. They also deliver to most of Orleans Parish and some of Jefferson Parish. So they have like all of these different boxes you can pick from, and some of them are fruits and vegetable boxes, some of them are meats. You can create your own and buy your own stuff like through there. If you wanted just chicken, you could buy chicken. If you want just vegetables, you could buy just vegetables. If you buy eligible products, they also are doing a dollar for dollar match on things. So there are examples right here as to what that would look like. And so if you bought a combo box, which is fruits and vegetables, and then you bought, a fruit box right here, this is $35 total. You bought $35 of produce. So then your total would end up coming out to only $17.50 because you would have gotten this money, half of this money back because it was produce. So I know it can be kind of confusing, but these are all of the examples. So say you bought, I'm trying to avoid the one that's a lot bigger, but say you bought a combo box, which is produce, and then you bought chicken. That's $26 total, but you bought $15 worth of produce, which means you would have $13 covered. And so you would only be paying $13. So it can be really beneficial if you want to maximize your dollars. And again, it says a $60 match limit here, but I don't, that was the old limit. It's unlimited right now, as to my knowledge. But the great thing about Topbox is that it can be delivered. And for a while they were doing free delivery. I think they still are. So if you're someone who likes your food delivered to you and you're in Orleans Parish or part of Jefferson Parish and it applies to you, they're a great option as well. And then there's a few other places. So New Orleans Food Co-op, Grodat Youth Farm, or River Queen Greens have 50% off of all fruits and vegetables for SNAP users. So you can go to the co-op and just spend whatever you want on whatever fruits and vegetables that they have, and you would get they would be half price. Grodat Youth Farm, they have seasonal items, so I couldn't tell you exactly what they have like right now, but you could go on their website and find that out. And same with River Queen Greens. They all offer 50% off. River Queen Greens has I've bought a lot of their produce before and it's really great. And they are also occasionally at the Crescent City Farmers Market. So you can find out more information at this website link right here. I know that was a lot of information and I went pretty fast. Does anyone have any questions, or is there any areas that you would like me to go over again, or that you would just like to have more information about? And there's also my contact information here, as well as the Department of Children and Family Services. D'Angela, did I forget anything or leave anything out that you would like to add at all?
Sorry about that. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. No, actually, I think you did a great job. I actually don't have anything to add unless anyone has any questions.
Wonderful. And again, D'Angela is with Department of Children and Family Services. So if you have any direct questions that she may be able to answer, you can answer or ask while she's on the call right now. If not, or if you would rather just ask me a question or email me a question, feel free. And D'Angela and I keep in contact, so I can always send her a question later. So just make sure you all write down my contact information. We recorded this and we can send it out to you so that you have this information again if you want to re-listen to it. I will probably do another recording where I go a little bit slower. I know I went very fast during this one. So during a time when I can have like a coworker sit in front of me and, you know, tell me to slow down a little bit, I will re-record as well and then post to our YouTube channel. But I want to make sure that you guys have all of this information and that it's not confusing. If any of you are confused, please speak up. This is extremely confusing and I'm not going to think that you guys didn't listen or you don't know what's going on. It's a very confusing process and I want to make sure that all of you have the opportunity to get any of your questions answered.
And Haley, if I can just, I'm sorry, if I can just say that the website that she has on the contact information page now is really great. We have that website is dedicated to college students. There's also a toolbox that we created for the website. So please go on and it will talk about exemptions. It'll also have a little video that you guys can watch just to give you an overview, kind of what Haley talked about today, but it's a great website and please go on and look it up.
We have 2 questions in the chat.
Yes, I just saw that. Okay, so someone's question, can international students apply for SNAP? And D'Angela, correct me if I'm wrong, but as long as they have the documentation that they need, if you're not currently a US citizen, but if you have your documentation and can verify that, and then as well as if you can list a Louisiana mailing address. I think those are just the 2 requirements, right?
Yes.
Okay. So that, and then if you live in New Iberia, again, as long as you have a Louisiana mailing address, it shouldn't be, let me see. Is your question, can you apply for SNAP if you're in New Iberia, or can you apply for Topbox or I don't know which part of that I was but if you're in Louisiana in general, yes, you can apply for SNAP and you can, as long as you have a Louisiana mailing address. It doesn't matter if you're in Orleans Parish or Jefferson. The only one that is tricky is if you're using Topbox foods, they probably don't deliver there, but everything else should be reasonable and shouldn't be a problem. Can we only apply as a household of 1 if we're not listed as a dependent of our parents' taxes? that is a question for you, D'Angela.
Yeah, so if you are, if you're on campus here and then you're technically like a resident of Louisiana, you can go ahead and apply. The taxes, how your parents, if they claim you on your taxes or not, that's not gonna really come into play at that point, which you're just applying. So definitely go ahead and apply, especially if you're here in school and you're living here for the semester. So if you have an address, Louisiana address, then you'd be considered a resident. Just go ahead and apply.
Yeah, I would say that they're not trying to trick you at all with SNAP. I know that some of their questions can be kind of intense sometimes, but you can apply as a single household. And if you're like, I don't know, this might disqualify me, I think I'm technically a single household, but my parents claim me as a dependent. If you have those kind of questions where you're like, I don't know if I would be eligible, just apply how you think would be fit, which would be a single household. And their chances are you're not going to be questioned on that. They're not trying to trick you. They want to help as many people as they can. So just try to do the best that you can with that information. I got another question for students who live in the college dorms. How should we go about putting in our address, knowing the semester is coming close to an end and we may be living in a different location? That one is a little bit tricky. I would say I would apply with the current address, and as soon as you hear back on if you are eligible or not, or as soon as you hear that you're moving addresses, this is another one where it's very beneficial to apply online because you can go in at any time and change that address. So make sure that if you are moving soon and you apply with that address, just make sure that you update that address as soon as you know of a new address. And when you're approved, just make sure that you get your card, which now, like I said, because there's a pilot program and we can also do the card on the phone, it might not be as much of an issue. But say you apply and you don't hear back and you don't get your card in the mail before you move out of your dorm. You can also call, like I said, DCFS and be like, hey, I applied. It's been over 30 days. I think I was approved, but I didn't get my card. And you can give your new address and get a card sent there. So just make sure that you update your address, I would say. It is tricky. I do know that. D'Angela, if you have any other tips, let me know. But I think that's kind of like the most.
Yeah, that's going to be the best way. Haley, you are right. That 888 number, you can always call that number. We have a customer service line that would be able to update things like your address, things like that. Also, like Haley said, if you go online and do your application, you start your account and you can update a lot of things that way. Also, that's probably the best way to do it.
Yes, I agree. Okay, let's see. If your parents already qualify for SNAP and use it, will it impact your parents apply for it on your own? Okay, that one, if you are living in, let's see, if your parents already qualify for SNAP and use it, will it impact theirs? So D'Angela, correct me if I'm wrong, but if they have the same address as their parents, then it would be a whole household and they can't apply on their own. Is that
right? So it depends on how old they are. If they're under 21 and you live in the household with your parents, then yes, our legal age is going to be that 21. So if you're under that number and you live in the household with your parents, then 9 times out of 10, you're probably on their SNAP case. But just say if you're 26 and you're, 30 and you live in the household, then it's a possibility that you can be your own household, just yourself. It just still apply because a lot of different other factors may come into play. We have to look at if you're already on the SNAP case with your parents, that could be a factor, and maybe you don't know that you're on their case. But if you apply and you are on their case, that's something, of course, that we'll be able to bring up and let you know.
Perfect. So again, that all comes down to just apply. Worst comes to worst, they'll be like, hey, you're already on this case, just so you know. Always apply. If you think that you might be eligible, just apply. We can always give you more information, but it's better to apply and be told no than it is to not apply, because more often than not, you'd be very surprised that you may actually be eligible. Can we have a separate mailing address for them to send the card to? So in terms of the application in general, you do write down a mailing address. Do you mean, can you list 2 separate mailing addresses, or I guess, yeah, that's a little bit confusing to
Yeah,
me.
you can, because you can have a different mailing address than your residential address. So you can live one place, but then we can send all of our information, a card, your updates, your SR, your letters. We'll send that to whatever your mailing address is. The one caveat was that would be that your mailing address cannot be an out-of-state address. So if you're, from Colorado, you can't have everything sent back there. If you live in Louisiana, it has to be a Louisiana, address. I mean, you can give it to us, but it's gonna do something with your case, and it's gonna bring up a lot of other things. So anyway, it's best to have an address that is right here in Louisiana. You can have a different residential than mailing, but just both Louisiana.
Awesome. Great news. Let's see. Let me just going through to make sure I didn't miss any questions here. Yes, if you are in a on campus in a dorm, yes, you're the only person in your household. Let's see. Great. I think, does anyone else have any other questions they would like answered? Again, if for some reason you think of something later or you weren't comfortable asking in this forum, email me and I will make sure I get the answer to you. You guys have raised great questions. I'm going to save the chat and write all of these down and make a, another additional slide to this that I will then send to Amir and send out to you guys. That will follow up. I'll just write down each question that was asked, because these are fantastic questions. And I know a lot of other students are going to have those questions, and I will follow up with an answer slide as well. And I will make sure D'Angela checks that for me too, to make sure that I have all the correct information. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much for presenting to us today. Again, everyone, the presentation is being recorded. I will disseminate that to you all by the end of the week with Haley's contact information, so you can reach out to her directly for follow-up questions. And yeah, so she'll add an additional slide that'll definitely have your questions that you answered in the chat, and will be captured, so that way you can have that information present there too. So again, thank you all for attending. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much.
Thank you.